when you teach somebody else, you break it down in such a way that you have to understand it for yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely an advocate for teach soon.
Yes. Yeah. I love that so much. And I feel like that is testament to what you were able to create so soon in your career. Because when I started dancing for you, how old were you? Like you must have only been
God.
23, 24, 25, something like that.
Yeah, probably younger. Like, yeah, I mean, it was a literally like looking around in Leeds and nothing was happening. And I was like, because I went to dance school. So I did eventually go to dance school. And funnily, that's when then I started to not believe myself. Isn't that funny? Like I had
Mm-hmm.
all that like undeniable belief. And then I went to dance school and my self-belief went like really plummeted, to be honest. And that was age 25. So yeah, I must have, and I think I remember that were you there at the Element Turns Five party?
No, I think I was already in London then.
Maybe. So that, yeah, so I must have been pretty young, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I was probably 22 when I just did everything, had the company, was flying, we were flying around the world. It was amazing.
I mean, it's just, I know at the time it's like, oh, this is just happening. But we're looking back on it now, even I'm like, that was not only incredible for me and for that experience for me, but like looking at you as well as someone who I was like, Ella's really doing this. And not only did you do it for yourself, but you created so many opportunities for us, like from
Yay,
from
that's
from
so
nothing,
cool.
like from just like literally being like, I'm
Making it
gonna
up.
do this. I'm gonna like figure it
And
out as I go.
yeah, sometimes though I do remember. So I was in Manchester last week on a project, and I walked past this hotel, and I was like, "Oh my God, we did a gig there once." I can't remember who was on the gig, but I know I did make mistakes. So that particular gig, I didn't do contracts. I didn't know what a contract was, and they put us up in a really lovely hotel. We did the show. They said they'd meet us the next day and pay us the money, and then we'd get on the train, and they didn't show up. So we had this like, what do we do? Because we need to get paid, but we need to get trains home. And, so there were definitely things that I did that didn't always work. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad for you all as well for like believing in me and just being like, hey, we'll come along for the ride. And actually whoever the two, I remember Lily was one of the performers, but whoever the other performer was, for just being like, sometimes stuff goes down like this and people were cool. Like, now I'm like, oh my God, what would I do if that happened on a job now? I'd literally like, yeah, just I don't know, implode from the inside with embarrassment.
But thank you for sharing that, Ella, because it does just go to show that, yeah, we can do things before we're ready, and that there's so much growth that comes from that, and so much learning, and so much confidence and inner trust. But at the same time, not everything's going to go right when you do it that way, and that's okay. And
Mm,
that's okay, and that nothing fell apart. The company didn't stop. Your dancers understood because we trusted you and we loved you. So that wasn't,
yeah,
it was never like that, and you never created that kind of like hierarchical structure that you sometimes in
to be
probably
honest,
every
a
sector,
lot.
but certainly in dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was so special for me. Like, I think we felt like we were a family, we were a crew almost. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't that hierarchy. And I haven't it's definitely kind of one of my values that I'm taking through like, where my dance company is now and so on. But I had so many experiences with other companies where it was all about the hierarchy and it was all about the power and it was all about making you feel big or small or, according to your
Mm-hmm.
status. And
Yeah.
even at dance school as well, I'm so grateful I went to dance school, but yeah, we had something really special.
Yeah, it really was. But
Mm,
yeah, there's definitely something in more of, I don't know, perhaps the longer standing institutions, or perhaps it depends on the dance style as well, that there's certain dance styles which foster more of a different kind of environment or whatever. But
mm,
the actual dance that I learned was useful, but a lot of the other stuff wasn't, and I had to unlearn a lot of that.
mm,
A lot of the self-doubt, a lot of the proving myself, a lot of the seeking approval and validation,
yeah.
and all of that kind of stuff. And so
Mm.
it's actually interesting to hear from your perspective that having done it another way and then entering into it, you still weren't immune to it.
Yeah,
That
God,
it's
no.
still, there was still something that got in
Yeah.
there.
And in a way, I feel like it hit me worse because because I hadn't seen that, I hadn't had that experience before. And I was comparing myself to dancers that had been, doing ballet since they were three and contemporary. Like, my experience was the AS dance. So I had like a year of training. Then I did that kind of like university, little youth group thing. We did some shows, but and then I had 3 months with this company as an apprentice. But that really was kind of the breadth of my experiences before. So, and obviously our dance, we had routines. And I wanted to say earlier actually that I kind of always with element dance, I wanted to be almost like the samba and salsa and so on version of like what I saw in like the hip hop crews at the time. I really wanted to like come up with these like power amazing choreographies, but that still captured the joy of and the freedom and the freestyle of these styles. But I think, the level of choreography or the complexity of the choreography compared to what I was then learning at contemporary dance school, I just didn't have a good memory at all for like picking up these choreographies that were just no, it was like different world, and then suddenly it was like there was this real kind of idea of high art and low art, that like the dances that I'd done were low art and I was now experiencing high art, and I just felt like I don't belong here, and I'm not, I'm not good enough. I'm not, um, I felt too street, to be honest, or too like, so I also have this background in breaking. I just suddenly felt like I was really being typecast as this like urban. I hate these words. So I'm like, how to not use those words that as soon as they said them, I'd just be like, oh, stop saying that. But it was really tough. But I'm glad that I came out of it, and I'm glad that, like you said, that I could unlearn all that stuff. And I'm also grateful that I was there and I got to train because, it's definitely formed kind of a part of where I am now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So many things in what you just said that I'd love to pull out because I think it's so important. So first of all, on the choreography point, so the dances that you did were so much fun to dance, like just as a starting point, so much fun to dance. And I will always like remember when we performed at Move It, that choreography that you did, that was like really
Which
like
one was
pure
that? Was that
fusion. It
was that
had
the
the breaking
Candela
and the
one?
samba. Yeah,
Ah,
exactly.
that was so much fun. Yeah, we need to go back and find some videos. They exist. They
Yeah,
must
there
be
must.
there somewhere,
There
right?
must. Yeah, I would love
Yeah,
to see it. Yeah.
yeah.
So within those choreographies, like as a dancer, was so much empowerment and so much fun, and there was complexity and there was like the intricacy, but there was also, in some ways, not even the simplicity, but the power of the basic samba step without needing
Mm,
to add anything else to it. Like
yeah,
that in itself is so powerful and amazing and joyful and all these other things.
very
Um,
true.
that I think it's so interesting because like I've had the same feelings now, like coming back into the ballet world as an adult of yeah, like judging other dance styles by that measuring stick of like contemporary
Mm,
or ballet. And I know that contemporary and ballet aren't the same thing, but I think that in some ways they have shared outcomes, objectives, and viewpoints in some
yeah,
things.
yeah, me
Um,
too.
and I think it's really interesting that you also found that, having done other things and then gone into contemporary, and the same for me of then